Hello! My name is Fox Arie, and welcome to Fox Dots. In this episode, I'm going to be telling you why you should watch the movie A Town Called Panic. I will also be giving my overview thoughts of the movie in general, but I am not going to delve into specifics outside of setting up the basic plot because the absurdity and fun of the movie really comes from you going in with little to no knowledge at all. But here, I'll build up a bit of a background and then we can talk a bit more about that in just a moment here. So, A Town Called Panic is a French movie that was made in Belgium. It's a stop motion animated film and it is quite silly. It is extremely silly, and I think that's what makes it very endearing and charming. Um, I'm trying to really be careful with my words because I genuinely want people who have never heard of it, which I'm gonna assume a lot of you, uh, kind of fit into that criteria of I've never heard of A Town Called Panic before. Just please, it's good. Trust me. So let me tell you a little bit of the building blocks of the story. So we have our three main characters: a horse that can talk, an Indian, and a cowboy, and they live together. All right, you following me so far? Yeah, all right. So the horse, it's his birthday when the movie starts, and cowboy and Indian are like, "Oh man, oh no, we gotta get a horse a present. We need horse to give present. We need present horse. Present horse need." So that's what they do. They try to do something nice for horse, and then it backfires. And so it's just the misadventures of these three with things keep happening to them as the three of them try to go back to a status quo of what their knives usually not lot knives their lives usually is, which is just chilling at their house, the three of them just hanging out, what have you. And I understand that plot may not sound super exciting, but it's more about the execution than what it really is. Because at its core, I guess you could say, oh, it's just a silly, I guess mostly family friendly movie about these three goofy guys. One of them just so happens to be a horse that can talk and this and that. It's kind of like describing the plot of Tom and Jerry. It's like, a cat is trying to kill a mouse. It's all about the semantics, what actually happens. And execution really is almost everything when it comes to any type of media, especially when it comes to film and other visual mediums as such, because you can have a basic idea and turn it into something very wonderful. And I wouldn't necessarily call A Town Called Panic a basic idea. It's a very zany idea, but it's not something like, whoa, this is blowing my mind. It's more of, here's a silly, small, basic idea, and let's just have fun with it. And that's what it does. And it does it very well. It's not trying to be something granular. It's not trying to be peak cinema. It's just trying to have a good time out of what I assume is a small passion project from a small dedicated team. And yeah, it's great. And I love it a lot now because of it. The pacing is also quite fast, but not to a point where you can't follow along. Things are constantly happening, and there are some moments of brevity, and you can just take your breath, just kind of soak it in. There's some like establishing shots that are just linger there for a little bit before it keeps going on with the action or whatever else is happening. The fuck if I know. I mean, I do know, but sometimes it's just very silly and it's just, oh, okay, I accept it. This is what happened. Great. And it's like that the entire way. And if you just accept that this is a very silly world with its own principles and its own cartoony just existence, then yeah, it's really easy to, just slip into it and be like, ah ha ha, hoo hoo. Aside from that, I also recommend you watch the movie in its original French dub with subtitles that of whatever language you're most fluent in. I'm gonna assume English because you're listening to this in English, but I don't know. Maybe you're like a Spanish wizard. You just know all the Spanish. You grew up with it. watch it. I'm sure there's Spanish subtitles. I'm not sure how many like subtitled versions of this movie there is because again, it's very niche. I never heard of it until a few days ago, actually. But hey, I mean, try your best. And if all fails, time to learn English, I guess, or French, actually. No, no, and no, screw that. French, do French. French, cool. French, nice. But in a more grounded-ish note, I personally prefer to watch media in its intended language because that's just kind of how it was perceived and made to be consumed. There are times where I do watch English dubs, let's say of anime or maybe Spanish cartoons or whatever other language, and that's because I would see, oh, if the English dub is exponentially like really great, and it just makes more sense in terms of cultural context. Like they don't censor anything or they don't change it too drastically, but they make it more understandable. And it's more of like an accessibility thing. I do not mind reading subtitles for any medium. It's just that if I could not have to worry about subtitles, that would be great. But also, I want the original experience. If that's good in its own right, it really is a back and forth. But more often than not, I just default to okay. I'll put on the original intended language, and then I will read the subtitles. And I really prefer it here because the voice acting is really, really good. It adds so much charm, and it makes a lot of the silly moments stick out of my mind. And for example, this is one character. His name is Steven. Every single line in the movie he yells it. And it never gets tiring because he's not one of the main guys. He's like a side character who's around quite a decent bit of the runtime, but it's a gag that is done very well because it's not super overly used, but it's just around enough and done in a very silly way with the voice actor, whoever voice acted Steven, just knowing how to yell in a very fun and energetic way without being grating to the ears or anything of that sort of deal. So that's just another example of wow, what a very fun thing. And it's just the little nuances, the little iggity diggity. I sure guess that's a descriptor. Why not? The little iggity diggities of this movie, making it wonderful and splendid and very charming. And yeah, it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that. This is again a super niche thing, but if you want to watch something decently experimental and just kind of is all over the place, but has also a nice focus of let's just have a good time and just have shit happen. Wow, then this is perfect for you. I enjoy watching experimental things if they have decent passion to them. This has way more than enough passion for me to appreciate all the little things and the big things too. Big things. So, if that piques your interest, your fancy schmancy gancy, please have a look out and try to find the 2009 original of A Town Called Panic. Thank you. I just want to see people talk about this in the future, and just I would be very nice if someone reached out to me and be like, "Hey, I watched this super obscure 2009 movie because of you, because you told me to." Like I want to do that for people. I want people to find new things to enjoy because there is so much media out there that even though it's popular or has its niches, it's not gonna be more known unless people just keep it to themselves. That's another kind of driving factor for why I make the show in general, because I want to put a spotlight on all the different things I've seen and my thoughts on it, so people can be like, "Oh, hey, I started watching a show because of this little media franchise that this person talked about, and now they're introducing me to this, and wow, I never heard of that before, or I've heard of it, but I never interacted with it." So I'm trying to spread this thing around like it's peanut butter. You just gotta help me get the knife and shoo shoo. uh, Talking about spreading things around, sharing this podcast around is wonderful and would really, really make me extremely happy. It's all appreciated, any and all support. Even just saying, "Hey, nice thingy, that was pretty cool." Like even something very small like that makes people's days. Like, I'm not even talking about myself in particular anymore. Like, just being nice to people, even if it's just like a sentence or two, just saying hi and oh, nice shirt, or oh, you're cool. Like, that makes people's days. So go ahead, be nice to people. That's fucking awesome. And if you're not nice to people, try harder or something. I don't fucking know. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here because I'm completely going off rails now. But thank you so much for listening. Have a great day or night or whenever the hell you're listening to this. And I'm out of here.